Well, today we're going to talk about the truth about moderation with alcohol. Well, it's probably one of the most talked about topics when it comes to our relationship with alcohol. Can I moderate? Have you asked yourself that? Well, believe me, this is the time and space where we recognize that we want to do something about our drinking. And then the first thing we wonder is, can I just drink a little less? Like what would that look like? This is what I call the moderation trap. And this trap is full of inner conflict, also known as cognitive dissonance. And the worst part is that it's a conflict within our own selves. Simply, this struggle looks like wanting to do more of something and less of something at the same time. And it's such a painful place to be, isn't it? It's this stress that can quickly take over everything in our lives, especially our thoughts about alcohol, food, how we spend our time, and even questioning our own value and wondering, are we even strong enough to handle like life? It really can go down this path. The irony is that this specific pain comes directly from the very act of trying to moderate. And the truth is, we didn't even feel this inner conflict before we started trying to put limits on our drinking. I remember questioning my drinking for years, actively trying to drink less and found myself drinking more, like just this total fixation. And sure enough, it wasn't until I tried to control my drinking and I couldn't easily do that, that all the self-loathing and beating myself up and wondering what's wrong with me. Why can't I just drink like normal people? Have you guys asked yourself that? Like, who are these normal people anyway? That's a whole nother conversation. But that real struggle with my relationship with alcohol like began then when I was trying to just put limits. Before trying to moderate and put limits on drinking, perhaps you, like me, likely just drank what you wanted to, when you wanted to, and sure, we had hangovers and some of those normal negative consequences, but we weren't at that time really in a state of regret every time we drank and questioning what a hold alcohol had over us. That's kind of in that like going from an awake to an aware stage, like, oh, am I really having this issue? It's only once we try to control and set limits that this all begins to bubble up, and then it results in a ton of stress. And what do we do as drinkers when we try to relieve stress? We drink. I mean, it's our default, and we've been told for all of our lives that drinking can relieve stress. And we have proof in our own experience as well. And doesn't it blow your mind, you guys, that now that you are more aware, that you see this crazy cycle, right? We drink to solve the problem that drinking contributed to in the first place. So, for years, society has perpetuated the idea that alcohol is a necessary part of life. It's normal. I keep going back to the word normal, like it's just there, a tool for celebration, relaxation, mourning, connection. Alongside this, we hear the narrative that everything in moderation is key, right? Heard that. Everything in moderation is key. But today, I really want to challenge that notion because the truth about moderation with alcohol is far more complex than we've ever been led to believe. And it really is a trap when it comes to alcohol. It's also a trap when it comes to food. And it's also a trap when it comes to even certain partners and relationships in our life, business partners, certain loved ones where we can honestly ignore red flags because we think things are supposed to be this way. So, red flags, red flags. So, let's start with this. We know alcohol is an addictive substance. No matter who you are, alcohol has a direct impact on our brain and our body. It's not about willpower, as we know. It's not about willpower. It's not about self control. It's about biology, psychology, and the way alcohol can change us at a fundamental level. And the cycle reveals it's when willpower runs out, it's usually when we try to start moderation. So, what is willpower? We've gone over this before. It's trying to stop or start something that we have resistance to. I want you to start noticing this is a part of the experiment and growth where when resistance comes up, where does the normal default go? And then what would you like to do? So we're going to disrupt and interrupt the pattern that we normally do. So again, willpower is trying to start or stop something that we have resistance to stopping or starting. And it perpetuates this conscious or subconscious desire for alcohol. And again, for the sake of this topic, moderation is actually trying to put limits on that same something that we both want to be able to have control over, yet we know that we have little to no control over it for now. For example, tell me if this is you. And I really would love to hear your moderation stories if you want to put them in the comments. Moderation just means we're always trying to make decisions to drink or not to drink. That is the question. It's always placing rules on drinking. I was always placing rules on my drinking that I would quickly break, and then I would lose trust with myself. It was totally affecting this relationship, even with my own self. So these rules, I'll drink on the weekends, and then the weekends start to begin on Thursday, and then they end late on Sunday. And anytime I tried a diet program, the first question I asked was, can I have my wine? I really do believe I started this journey out of vanity and then in my insanity. I was like, I noticed that I was always trying to keep alcohol in my life. The only problem is that I was this black or white, all or nothing when it came to drinking. So I was a gray area drinker, which I could quit for periods of time, and I would be so strict and so good. But then I was always pining for when the challenge or the detox would be over, so then I could re-enter alcohol into my life. Trying to moderate for me ended up being an exhausting hamster wheel of when, where, why, how much, how long, when was I going to drink again? I realized that I had an unhealthy relationship with alcohol, like a bad boyfriend. You know, bad boyfriends or girlfriends that promise the world only to lie, cheat, and steal. This is the truth. And I come from a relationship coaching background. So this is the truth. When actions and words don't line up, it's a problem. If someone says they're going to do something, alcohol says, I'm going to make you more fun, I'm going to make you more this or that, and then it's like, oh no, you're not. Right? That's the lie, the cheat, and the steal. Oh, but I loved him so much. Just like I love my wine, and I love this toxic person so much. Um, so what what can we say about that? I mean, that's kind of is my funny story, but the gift, there is a gift in every struggle. And I really believe doing this journey, if you're on it with us, you have to believe there are gifts in the struggle. The gift in the struggle is that you find the truth. That's your truth. In order to honestly evaluate and change your relationship with alcohol, I think it's a great idea to have a goal of clarity. Like, we're dropping the curtain. You really want to find out the honest truth and no secrets, just like with a relationship with a person, no secrets. And then decide from there, learn all you can, which I applaud you. That's what you're doing right now. Okay. So just like, and also on the bad boyfriend thing, um, just like a bad boyfriend, no one can tell you, try as they may, that you should break up with said person. He's no good for you. That probably would make you want to hold on tighter. But this is every person's individual journey. So no one's here to tell you to stop drinking, to moderate, not to moderate, be together, not together. It has to be your personal journey. So with that said, why exactly do we turn to try to moderate? Why do we turn to trying to moderate? What are we looking for when we're trying to moderate? Two reasons. Well, we think that alcohol makes us feel a certain way, and the reality is that in life, we do tend to want to leave the present moment and feel differently than we are feeling right now. We think that alcohol might make us more engaging. We want to feel happier, funnier. We believe that these things are true. We believe this emotionally, like in our body, not just with our mind. We can feel it and we think it, right? We feel that something is true. The reality is that no amount of logic can even overcome anything in that moment. Number two, we also drink because we think it provides benefits. And many benefits have been listed. You know them in your heart. You probably made your lists, but many of those benefits have been listed throughout the recordings through the challenge. And I will say something to this. If you do feel that alcohol does provide a benefit in your life, then you're going to struggle to stop drinking. And you'll learn more in trying to, or you'll lean more into trying to moderate, right? And then the cycle will perpetuate itself. So that's what we're doing here. We're peeling back the layers of the onion to really dive into, all of these different things that we think, alcohol can benefit for us. And is this true? Is this really true? And then what is a turnaround on that? It is so worth the work. Okay. Here are 6 scientific reasons why moderation doesn't work as well as we might hope. And I'm going to add in at the end an answer to the question, but what if I still want to try to moderate, Shelley? After all of this, what if I still want to try to moderate? Okay, that's a very valid question. So, number one, why moderation doesn't work as well as we might hope is alcohol alters our brain chemistry, making moderation harder. When you drink, your brain releases dopamine, the feel good chemical, creating a sense of pleasure. Over time, our brain becomes conditioned to associate alcohol with reward. But here's the kicker: as our tolerance builds, our brain releases less dopamine, so we need more alcohol to feel the same effect. And this makes the idea of drinking just a little less, aka moderating, much harder to sustain. 2, alcohol impacts our prefrontal cortex, the part of our brain responsible for decision making. Even small amounts of alcohol impair our ability to assess risk and make rational choices. It's why you might tell yourself you're going to stop after one drink, but find yourself having 3 or 4 instead. The very substance we're trying to moderate is impairing our ability to do so. Not to mention the link to increased accidents, sexual assaults, and domestic violence when it comes to alcohol. Number 3, moderation reinforces the habit loop. Every time you have a drink, even in moderation, you strengthen the neural pathways in your brain that associate alcohol with pleasure or stress relief, aka a benefit, right? So these pathways can become deeply ingrained, making it harder to break free from the cycle. Number 4, of why moderation doesn't work the way we hope it would. Alcohol increases cravings over time. Research shows that drinking, even in moderation, can lead to something called the priming effect. This means that one can increase your desire for more. I think Lay's potato chips, or somebody invented that. You can't just have one. It's true. But it makes it harder to stop after the first sip or the first chip. All right. So a good friend told me one time, Shelley, you can start a diet in the middle of a bag of potato chips. And it's true. If these are the chips, I just stop madness and put the chips down. Easier said than done, but we are more powerful than we've ever probably believed. Number 5, alcohol disrupts sleep, which affects self-control. Even small amounts of alcohol can interfere with our sleep by disrupting our REM sleep. Poor sleep has been linked to reduced self-control, increased cravings for substances like alcohol, sugar, snacking, again, creating this vicious cycle that makes moderation even more challenging. And number 6, alcohol has cumulative health risks, even in small amounts. Studies have found that even moderate drinking is linked to an increased risk of cancer, particularly breast and esophageal cancer. When we think about moderation, we often focus on short-term effects, but we know more now, right? The long-term health risks don't just go away because we're deciding to try to drink less. And we do know now, this just came in out in the CDC, where they said there really is no safe amount of alcohol. We want the truth, right? We want clarity and the truth, no secrets. So, my friends, if moderation doesn't work, what is the alternative? It's not about being perfect or depriving yourself. It really is about freeing yourself from the belief that alcohol is necessary in the first place. When we step back and examine alcohol for what it is, a substance that diminishes our physical and mental health, disrupts relationships, and hijacks our brain? The truth, all the different truths. One can begin to see that letting go isn't about sacrifice, it's actually about reclaiming your life. How about that for a new reframe? It isn't about sacrifice. What if it's about reclaiming your life? Not about taking away, but what am I going to gain from this? And here's the most beautiful part: when you remove alcohol entirely, you don't have to live in the exhausting cycle of trying to moderate. You free yourself from the constant mental chatter of, should I have a drink? Have I had too much? Should I stop now? Can I do this? You're no longer fighting against yourself. And I can tell you personally, it's been very freeing. Did I ever think it was possible? No, ma'am. No, sir. Not until I found this work. So you're in the right place. And I know this might feel daunting, but I promise you it's worth it. Countless people who have let go of alcohol entirely describe their lives as more vibrant, peaceful, and fulfilling than they ever imagined. So, how does one truly know if they can moderate, even after going through this experiment? And you think, well, I think I'd still would like to give moderation a try. The best experiment, in my opinion, would be just to continue and actually see if you could go another 30 days. How about 60? How about 90? What's your record? Have you broken your personal record? Keep pushing out the date. Can you even imagine a whole year? I could not imagine a whole year at the beginning. But after 30 days, 60 days, it became a little bit more possible. I remember the first birthday party. It was my 50th birthday party, and it was a surprise party, and I didn't drink. It was so weird. But that was the path that I was on. I had my first cruise, first holidays, just all those firsts, experiencing them without alcohol. Then you can decide after that. That's how you would truly know if you could moderate after a year of firsts, trying to reintroduce. All right. Overall, today, I invite you to look at moderation not as a solution, but how about as just a part of the problem? And I encourage you to explore the possibility of freedom, a life where you no longer feel controlled by alcohol, because that life, I know it's out there waiting for you. Thank you so much, you guys. Take care.